Check.
Minutes late.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I said, there we are. Hey, everybody. It's the Jimmy Doane Show. Hope you're doing well today. Today is the 2nd of February, 2020. 02022020.
Yeah, this is a palindrome.
Uh-huh. Sort of. Yeah. So, we do this show live twice a week. Sundays and Wednesdays at this time, at this location. Join us if you will. Also, you can find us around the web in audio format for your podcasting needs. Search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E, Jimmy. We'll be there. So today, I just said that, and we are in studio. Transporter is fired up and ready to go.
Okay.
We're starting off in Florida here. What's happening?
Okay, Florida. Okay, here's just as a quick thing. It's interesting. I was going through the news, and technically it's all kind of the same old in a way. There was the beer virus.
Oh yeah,
Corona.
Yeah,
the coronavirus.
Boy, they need to sue Corona for that.
Something, man. Yeah. And then the impeachment continues, of course.
Okay,
that's pretty much over. Interesting. The Iowa caucuses are coming up on.
Are you doing a summary here?
Okay. Iowa caucuses. Super Bowl, of course, starts in
a few minutes,
a couple hours, and Brexit. So those things I'm going to see if I can cover those two.
All right.
Starting off with the virus.
Okay.
The coronavirus. The U.S. denies entry to any foreign national who has visited China over the past 2 weeks. And it joins while United, Delta, American Airlines are suspending all flights to China due to the virus. So that takes care of that. The president has declared the coronavirus public health history emergency, signed an order Friday denying entry to foreign nationals but from that area. But immediate family of U.S. citizens are exempt. So they can come back. I'm just trying to see here what I pulled off something else here. I was looking up. Where did I put that here? I was looking up past viruses in the United States. And on a typical virus year here in the U.S., millions die.
Millions.
Well, certainly. Well, let's see. Let me just see here. Where did I do it? So, let's see. They're going to be subject to a mandatory quarantine for 14 days. The State Department issued its highest level warning. Okay, during the 2018 to 2019 season, last year, the CDC estimates that 16.5 million people went to a healthcare provider for the flu, and more than 34,000 people died in the U.S.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah,
34,000 died.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, but I'm saying, you do understand, there's like 500 people so far have died in China.
And so what I have here is a brilliant image from the...
this is the Great Wall. Keep that virus out.
Right here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so this is a graph of contagibility versus deadliness.
Okay.
And it charts several of the more recent diseases that we've seen. It's got Ebola on here, and it's got old stuff like polio, bird flu, MERS, Spanish flu, and it's got a region here that is the evidence from this particular Wuhan coronavirus.
Okay.
And what you can see here is that it's not that contagious and it's not that deadly.
Right.
And I mean, there's the evidence. It's bad. It's a flu. I mean, the seasonal flu is down here in the lower left-hand corner, which means the seasonal flu is less contagious and less deadly than this one. But SARS is many times more deadly, and smallpox and even chickenpox is 10 times more communicable.
Yeah.
So, again, this is a. It's bad. It's a flu or whatever.
Well, what they're saying is they're talking about exponential. Now, anybody knows what exponentials are. Anybody that knows anything, and that is they were saying here that the coronavirus geometric progression suggests 100,000 infections in a week.
Okay.
So we'll come back here next Sunday. I guess we'll see if there's 100,000.
Yeah, right. Well, if there's empty chairs here,
Yeah, right.
a couple of skeletons.
And then, of course, according to Big Pharma, said that the coronavirus will take over a year to develop.
The vaccine.
The vaccine, yeah.
I saw a report today that the Koreans have made some kind of breakthrough
I
already.
saw that too, but again, okay. Now, when you have two things that are this far apart, you got
Somewhere between the middle.
somewhere between, yeah. I don't know. So,
Look, it's a flu. We're gonna have something.
well, the thing that people don't realize is that literally every year, tens of thousands of people in this country die from virus, and you get a shot. I mean, the shots are free.
Yeah.
You're crazy not to get a flu shot if you're even remotely susceptible. And of course, what they found is they did a demographics on the people that are dying in China, and it's old people,
Right.
decrepit.
Exactly.
I mean, really.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
all these people in this hospital died.
You're right.
From-
I mean, these people already have, some serious lung problems or something.
Yeah.
They're smoking all that. They smoke in China.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean-
you don't even have to. You just go outside.
You go outside. That's
Apparently.
right. So you're already, if you're 60 or 70 years old in China, you're already, on one leg. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this is a big deal. I mean, Scott Adams was talking about if 10 people died, Trump will lose the election. I'm like, no. 100,000,
Yeah.
maybe.
Even now 100,000 I could see. That would be a
100,000.
problem
Yeah.
because
That's
the
3
regular
times
flu 2 years ago, the regular flu was 35,000.
Right. So that's-
But that didn't make the news.
No.
I don't remember seeing
That's
that in
every
the paper.
year, because why would it? That's like saying people died this year.
Yeah.
Well, of course they did.
And they died from the flu. And again, it obviously hits the most susceptible people.
Right.
And it's one
We'll
of those things.
see. I think we're fine. I think everything's going to be fine. One more week, we'll know for sure.
Well,
But
if they hit this 100,000 in that week, then
well, exactly. I mean, last week we had the news. Oh, it spiked cases 10 times. Oh my God! And you can scroll through Twitter and find videos of Wuhan with people walking around in empty streets and with guns drawn. And
What?
No, weird stuff.
I
And
mean the military guns drawn.
no, I mean it looks. You can't tell who's, but it looks like probably local police or undercover police
right.
walking around, and people in hallways and stuff like that, on stairs lying, and it looks like they're just dropping like flies, right?
Okay.
No, probably not. Probably not. We'll see, but probably.
But there's a couple things to consider here, and that is governments are typically very reluctant to put out any kind of bad
Oh,
news.
super reliable.
I mean, yeah, right, super reliable. No, they never. I mean, ours is a pack of liars, and if you think ours is, if you have 100%, like for instance, you haven't seen anything come out of North Korea yet, have you?
Well, yeah, right.
Nothing.
No.
Zero.
Well, look, there could be a zombie apocalypse in Wuhan right now, and we might not know about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But it won't be long.
Brains.
Exactly.
Brains.
That's what's happening, and we wouldn't know. So, but before too long, enough of the social media influencers will get online and say, "Look, it's all fine here."
It is interesting because they really are ramping up. They've declared a national emergency. They found this one guy in New York or something.
Yeah.
And there's 2 now, and oh my God!
Well,
wait, 7 million people. What are you talking about?
This is something that Scott Adams pointed out also, which is, look, there's no consequence if you declare an emergency. I mean, people aren't going to hold you accountable for being too safe. And I mean, even all the people who lose their business because they can't go to China that week, that's a tiny, tiny percentage versus the people who are tuning in saying, well, I guess the president protected us from this virus, from this killer.
Well, you're right, but
Ebola.
there are 2 things to consider here. Another headline that I saw. Freeport McMoran, which is a New York stock market company, CEO fears, when I talked about this last time, about a global black swan.
Yeah.
As devil's virus sparks record. What's happened is they're big copper producers.
Okay.
And their copper prices have collapsed. And apparently China is a big importer of copper.
Okay.
I don't know, but it has something to. And so the CEO of Freeport McMoran is saying, this could be the black swan. Now I don't know if we remember last week I talked about this, about the 3 or 4 things that could be the black swan to put the thing over the top. Well, it's interesting. This guy must have been listening because he said it could be.
Yeah.
All right, well, one more thing.
Okay.
That I thought was in the New York City patient being tested for coronavirus is a visitor from China. As a man in Boston becomes the eighth person diagnosed while in the U.S. Okay, the eighth person, and the of course the let's see, what has I got? No, hold on, I got something wrong here. As the Pentagon prepares 1,000 quarantine beds, and the global death toll rises to 304, with 75,000 potential infected globally. 75,000. Okay, well, so maybe it is 100,000 by next week. But it's interesting. He was a visitor from China who stayed in a hotel and for a couple of days before he developed symptoms. Called 911, and he's they didn't give you any demographics on who he is or what he is or anything. But he's currently stable and doing well in the hospital. He's in the hospital, okay? Yeah. They were checked at the hospital Friday after calling 911 and so forth. City officials haven't said anything about who the guy is. But it's interesting. It will take at least 36 to 48 hours to determine whether the patient tests positive for the coronavirus. They don't know. I mean, he's got a couple of symptoms maybe, but it's going to take them 3 days. To figure out if that's what it was.
Sure, you got to grow some of it.
Well, I know that, but it's interesting that to me that this is the news was we got a coronavirus in New York. One, here we are, panic, everybody run for the hills. Oh, but by the way, we're not going to know for 3 days if that's what it was. He might have an upset stomach. I don't know.
Well, so are we done with that?
Yes.
Just on an aside to that, on a positive note about viruses and stuff like that, they have finally synthetically passed the need for horseshoe crab blood.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, now that's fascinating.
It is. So for people who don't know,
horseshoe
crabs is like a 400 million year old creature. I mean, it's survived everything. The great dying, the great impact, the dinosaurs, everything. And its blood is incredibly sensitive to infections. And we use the blood. We actually bag these creatures out of the ocean, drain their blood in this weird, rich. I get this great image. I forgot to put it up though. Of these scientists with a whole bunch of. Oh, maybe it's right here. Oh no, that's not it. Scientists with a whole bunch of these crabs upside down, and they're draining the blood, this blue blood, this really stuff, and what they do is they use it to test for pathogens on everything. Whenever they're testing whether or not there are pathogens present, they spray a little of the stuff on there, and if it corrodes or goes bad, immediately they know it's contaminated. Exactly. So, but apparently now they finally developed a synthetic molecule which does a better job. So the horseshoe crabs
can now be saved.
That's right.
Now, was it my understanding that they didn't drain all the blood out and put them back?
Yeah, they put them back.
And they put them back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not killing them off.
No, they're not trying to. But I mean, 50,000 of them die every year from.
Right. No, well, they did say that
procedure.
The mortality. Yeah, right. They did say the mortality rate was pretty high, but they tried to put them back in.
Yeah. I mean, we used to use them for like bait and stuff. I mean, that's But it's just interesting. I mean, here's this
400
creature.
million years old. And, okay.
And this to me highlights the incredible usefulness of the biodiversity of the planet.
Right.
And when I think about the environment, that's what I think about is these molecules that have been developed for millions of years by other creatures to perform very specialized tasks, which we can emulate and replicate and use parts of, and all that can learn stuff from. It's fantastic, and that to me is.
I have a very dear friend of mine who died not too long ago. He was a what do you call it? He was a member of the adventurers or the explorers or whatever, like Jack May is. He's one of those guys.
Okay.
And he would go on regular visits to South America.
Right.
And they would go out into the forest and collect fungi.
Right.
And bugs and special. They'd never seen these, and they'd bring them. And the pharmaceutical companies pay them big bucks to bring all this stuff. They were like, like the guy
Indiana Jones for mold.
Indiana Jones, or like what's his name, Darwin. On the Beagle. And he used to go down there. He used to go down there and trudge. I mean, literally. He was chased out of one village by a bunch of Amazons with poison arrows. Yeah, exactly. the whole deal. But I mean, talk about so that's why he was a member of the Explorers Club. But he got paid because he would bring back these incredibly, we've never seen this plant before, or this fungus or mold, and then the pharmaceutical companies would do the stuff on it to figure out if it was any good. That's pretty good. Pretty decent.
Cool stuff.
And so nature's only had, like with the horseshoe crab, 400 million years to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. I mean, there's another one that's is around forever. Let's see, turtles have been around forever. The sea turtles and sharks have been around forever. And then, of course, they found that other one just recently that they thought had been long extinct for 300 million years, but it's alive and living in the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so now moving on to the impeachment.
Okay.
Do we really have to do this? I mean, this is
we have to do just a little bit of it.
Okay, a little bit. Donald Trump will be cleared Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Because what happened was and they wanted to bring in witnesses, of course. Everybody was, and I listened to some of the arguments for a while on this, and you talk about repetitive and stupid and everything. You just sit there and are you listening to yourself? I mean, are you really listening to yourself? And then of course when what's his name gets up there, Dershowitz gets up there and hits it out of the park, and why you can't do this and this is why, and they're still, it's like he never said anything, and they didn't listen to him. It made no sense. And so anyway, two of the Repubs voted to hear witnesses.
Okay.
Romney and what's her name from Maine, I think.
Susan
Collins. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how she's up for election actually this November.
Yeah.
As you know, the Senate, only a third of them are up for a re-election this November.
Yes. We got Scott. Scott, hey Scott, how are you? He says Trump should visit Wuhan province to do some investigating.
Yes, find him out. That's right. Get into one of the little. And he's so. I don't need no mask. I don't need stinking mask. I'm coming through.
That's right.
That's it.
It's like his solar. I don't need these glasses to look at the solar eclipse.
So anyway, the impeachment trial will end at 4 p.m. Wednesday. Actually, it's interesting because Senator Warren has said, no, this is not the end of it. We're going to.
They can impeach again if they want
to.
I have
the
to
Senate
expect
can't.
them to. No, but the House.
The House can, right? They can start.
They got several months. I don't I mean, I fully expect. Seriously, I think that there's a better than 50% chance they're going to impeach him a second time.
No.
Yes.
I don't believe it.
Why not?
I don't think so.
Because
even for those people, it would be an exercise in ultimate futility. I mean, the ultimate futility. This is double jeopardy. I mean, what are you talking about?
But the thing is again, there's no law against it.
I know there's no law.
If there's no law against it, why not? Why not take your shot?
Well, it is. There are people, literally, have said this is not ending.
Right.
We're going to go. And of course, what's interesting is, there's during the impeachment stuff, we got a new trade deal, and there's other stuff that's going on that the president's doing by himself.
Yeah, I mean he has been
to Davos, hi, good to see him.
He is a busybody. Apparently, he only sleeps a few hours a night.
Yeah,
and he has been on his horse during this entire time. So,
for what is going to be interesting is, of course, the State of the Union is Tuesday night.
Well, they put it off till Wednesday, I heard.
No, the vote is off till Wednesday.
No, I heard they put the union.
Really?
Yeah, until after. But I could be wrong.
Okay, because I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
okay. You sort of heard it here for.
You heard it here second.
He said.
That's right.
That guy over there. There he is over there. That guy said that's. But I'll have to. Let me put it this way. As of 4 or 5 hours ago, I was looking.
It's a total rumor.
It was not in Drudge.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe, but as I say, the 4 o'clock is when they set up the vote on dismissing everything.
Right.
And
well, the State of the Union I expect to be just an advertisement anyway. I mean, as it always.
Oh yeah, no. Let me tell you, I heard
this guy.
Yeah.
Hey, who's the best? Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Who the man?
That's right.
No,
it's going to be that.
I heard his speech.
Roars from one side of the aisle.
Totally. No, exactly. It'll be interesting to see because they purposely sit on their hands.
Crickets.
Crickets on one side.
That's
and
right.
Screech
Somebody throws a
and standing O's, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But what is interesting, I saw his speech that he gave in New Jersey the other night. I guess.
He did a rally.
He did a rally. Yeah, I think it was Thursday or whatever. And it was exactly it was the bragging. This is what I've done.
Of course it is.
This is what I've done. And of course, I'm looking at, I'm sitting there with Ms. Jimmy, and I'm sitting there, some of the stuff is a little. She's going crazy. She's going crazy. I mean, she thought it just the. And I said, it's a little bit of exaggeration, I think.
Right. This economy.
The best, everything's the best.
That's right.
Totally, nobody's ever done anything in the entire history of mankind. Nobody's ever done. Oh, wait.
Right. Now that I fully expect that rhetoric on Tuesday.
No, there's no question.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind. I did tell you though, as one quick aside, because Ms. Jimmy, of course, is a Trump fanatic, and we love her for it, for what she does. But she had me buy a standee.
Yes.
A standee. Now, this standee is 6 feet tall.
Right.
And I put it up in the living room. And
is it thinner than Trump? I wonder if he's in better shape.
From the side, it's,
right, yeah,
it's thinner than Trump. But it's 6 feet tall, looks just like him. He's sitting there, he's going like this, But I put it in the living room, and she walked around into the living room and said it scared the hell out of her.
Right.
There's a man in my whoa, it's Trump.
That's right.
So
well, when we talk about, before we get off the trial, I need to say a couple things about it, and that is, look, when you go through this thing, I mean, first of all, there were witnesses. Of course, they were in the House. And of course they tried to call more witnesses, but Trump claimed executive privilege. But they could have waited for the courts to get a ruling.
Right. That was the big deal.
Well, and by now they would have a ruling. It would
you could expedite it.
Exactly.
I mean, look, when you think about it, the court heard Palm Beach versus Al Gore in a day.
Right, exactly.
I mean, so, if it's that important, they'll
exactly. You push stuff off the docket. They could have had a ruling on it by now. So the entire second article of impeachment is just bogus, because it's essentially like saying, oh, well, you're guilty because you tried to defend yourself. This is like
you're guilty because you're guilty.
Well, it's also because you hired a lawyer. Obviously, you're guilty.
Right, that's right.
Obviously, you're guilty. You deferred to the courts. And well, look, that's not how it works. It's not. You're allowed to defer to the courts. It's funny. I spend a lot of time whenever I interview a criminal defense client. Mm-hmm. One of the first questions they ask me is it okay if I plead not guilty? Because they're thinking, well, shoot, maybe I have to plead guilty. No. You get to defend yourself. And when you see in the news somebody who obviously did something, like they catch somebody in the act of shooting up something, and the guy goes and pleads not guilty.
Right.
There's outrage in the public. People will say, oh my God, how could he plead not guilty? It's like,
easy.
Look, exactly. And also because if you plead guilty, you'll get the max. And you may not deserve the max. And so don't do that. Defend yourself.
Right.
And so, I mean, this type of defense, people like Shapiro was all over Trump because he said, well, it's a perfect phone call. And Shapiro was like, he shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, you don't understand. You're not thinking like a defense attorney here, because if you say it wasn't a perfect phone call, then the response is going to be, well, you see, that's a confession.
Right.
He confessed that there was a problem with the phone call.
Right.
What's the problem with the phone call? Since it wasn't perfect, obviously you've admitted there's a problem. Now, it's like, you have to defend yourself like that. It's like the people who say, if you don't have nothing to hide, why don't you let them search you?
Yeah.
Look, because there's the Fourth Amendment. And it's the same thing we've heard this whole time about witnesses. Well, if you want to be exonerated, you want witnesses to be called. No, you don't. You want the thing to be over.
Right.
You want it to be done. So,
well, the thing about it, of course, as has been obviously pointed out, they brought their case, and it was perfect, and it was irrefutable.
Right.
It was a slam dunk. Mm-hmm. Here it is. We're bringing it over to the Senate and taking it. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong. It's a perfect case.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
But by the way, now we want you to do our job.
Yeah, well, we want more, and they just want to be able to say.
No, of course.
But that misdirection, I mean, the entire second article is just ridiculous. I mean, the first article they could have had an argument on, except that Schiff conceded motive, which is really what it turns on. But too bad. But I really think there's a real good possibility we could see a second impeachment. That's what I'm hoping for. I think it'd be fun.
Okay.
I think it'd tie everybody up.
Well, that's true.
And it keeps them out of the Senate and House doing that kind of passing laws.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so knock
Trump
yourselves
can just
out.
use his telephone and his pen and get things done.
Or whatever. I mean, it's just, he can't get too much done without their help. So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Speaking, of course, of the of the Iowa. Remember, I said Iowa is Tuesday, right?
Yes.
But and I think I mentioned this last time, that they got a Bernie problem, don't they?
Yes.
Let him get away with murder. Dems tormented on how to stop Bernie. Now they did last time because what's her name from Fort Lauderdale, the curly-haired girl, whatever it was. They sabotaged Bernie during 2016.
Yeah.
And so now, of course, now they're thinking. Now, of course, he's made another run, and he's doing pretty well. I mean, he's racking up the thing. He's like #1 in a couple of states.
Yes.
And so they're thinking, geez, if we, are we going to? He's gaining steam before the Iowa caucuses, and he may walk away with it.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, should they have a hands-off strategy? Where they just, maybe he'll expire by himself. Maybe he'll do the scream,
right,
or something stupid like that. But then, of course, if he gets the big mo,
mm-hmm.
then if he goes through Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina and Nevada.
Yeah. It looks like they're trying to stop him early this time. It looks like
they learned a lesson from Trumpster.
Which is
they laughed him off. They laughed him off until the thing.
Right. Well, and they did that with last time with Bernie. I mean, Bernie.
Well, they sabotaged him last time.
Yeah, but not until the very end. Like he got right up until it was between him and Hillary. Yeah. And so the question was, okay, how are we going to shut him down? And they did. And then they got him to endorse Hillary, which was the big trick.
Well, he made two critical errors. One, he said, "I'm not going to talk about the emails."
Right.
In one of the debates, which is,
I'm not going after my opponent.
Yeah, right.
What?
Yeah.
Good strategy there, man.
To do, yeah. But anyway, this time apparently they realized that they waited too long for Trump, and they're not going to wait. They're ostensibly not going to wait too long for Bernie. But
I think they're going to try to scuttle him early, but.
Well, the problem, let me tell you, man, remember now, last time in 2016, there was a whole ton of superdelegates.
Right.
And they got to vote on the first ballot.
Yeah, well, they're changing the rules back.
No, they are.
Yes, they are.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gear! Is this transparent? Now you do understand that they had changed the rules so the superdelegates had to wait till the second.
Right.
Now they changed it back.
They're trying to. Yeah, that's what the new announcement is. That's what they're considering.
I did not know that. I did not know. Oh my God! So is this obvious or what?
Well, that's what I was just watching Timcast, and he was saying, he was like, they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
No, that's right.
And of course they're not. And why would they? Look, it's a DNC. It's a group. It's people. They're not a government body. They can do whatever they want to do.
They're their own deep state.
Exactly. If they want to promote this candidate over that one and scuttle this guy, that's what they're allowed to do.
And of course, they always claim that they're neutral.
Of course they do. They're the Democratic National Convention. Meanwhile, they're taking $1 million from Bloomberg and putting him on the stage. Oh, you want to be on the stage? Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. They changed the rules on what you need to qualify for the stage.
Right.
What, they eliminated the
polling or something.
Something about the polling, or they eliminated the number of contributions.
Yeah, something like that.
It was one of them they eliminated. So now he's going to be on.
Right. Meanwhile, if your name is Tulsi, get off.
Get off.
And who's the other one that they pushed out?
Buttigieg, maybe. Or
well, Yang, or Buttigieg. Well, and of course you saw Buttigieg was accidentally left off the Iowa poll.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Accident?
He was accidentally left. Gosh. Oh, Buttigieg. Oh, did somebody not count the names? Come on, man. How do you leave a guy? How do you leave him off? And now they're just going to claim that we're not doing it. We're not doing it. To me, this says they got the wrong results from the poll.
Right.
Like it's like Bernie peeked them out or something, and they were like, can't release that. And so we'll just say something. I mean, it smacks of.
It's all politics.
I know.
I mean, one of the things, when you realize there's over $4 trillion a year that runs through Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
And you're going to bend everything you can. You want to get your hands on some of that?
To the hilt.
I mean.
That's why I'm saying, why shouldn't we expect a second impeachment and a third impeachment and a fourth? Why? They have nothing to lose.
They've gotten beyond the. You're right about that one thing in particular. They're not even trying to hide it. I mean, they just say we're coming out, and they're going to take the abuse. And apparently, I guess what's happening is I don't know how much abuse they're getting, but apparently it's not enough to sway them.
Well, there's nothing they can do about it. It's here it comes because they've got Bernie on the ticket. As we said from the beginning, he's going to hang in there until the end
Convention.
And I don't think that he's going to do what he did last. He could if he's so weak that he's going to bend the knee to the nominee, whoever it is, in the end of this, after they scuttle him again, then I would hope people wouldn't want him anyway.
Well, you did see two things. First of all, did I just mention that the four top candidates in Iowa are in a head-to-head matchup with Trump?
Yes.
Or beat him?
Yes.
Okay, that's so good luck on that.
Yeah.
But the other thing was Hillary last week misspoke and said if Bernie's the candidate, I'm not going to endorse him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she quickly backtracked.
That's right.
So I thought it was she said.
Well, it's knives out all over the place. You saw. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it was interesting that she said Hillary Clinton complained that nobody likes Sanders.
Yeah.
What? You kidding? I mean, a lot of people like
Well,
him.
she means in her circle.
No, right,
She means
I
in
know
the
that.
group.
And wouldn't initially commit to backing him if he were the nominee. She later clarified.
Let me clarify.
Let me clarify what I said about not supporting him.
That's
I
right.
am supporting him.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So but it shows a tight race in Iowa. Now, one of the things I was reading an article about, which is stunning when you think about it. Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada all together have got like 4 electoral votes or something.
Right.
And for these people, when you have the big mo coming through those,
Right.
we talk about outside. I mean, when you think about there are, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people that vote in New Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is not California.
No.
And so a lot of people are complaining. And what are you going to do about it? I don't know.
Well,
it's one of those things we did with Hillary, and the other thing is this is the game.
Yeah.
And you play by the rules.
That's right.
And the rules say this is number one, and
They're set up for this particular round.
Yeah.
And so this is what it's going to be.
That is why leading up to Tuesday, you've got you spend 400 or 500 hours before Tuesday in Iowa.
In Iowa, where you can see where we are right now,
Yeah.
which is just loaded with stuff and people.
People, look at the crowds.
That's right.
The crowds of corn. No, the crowd. Yes. Oh my God. So anyway, and of course, and you do understand what's interesting is these caucus are held like in a schoolroom or in somebody's house, and so they have to go to each one,
Right. Yeah.
and make their case. I mean,
What a joke.
Would you
Well,
like some tea?
Yeah, that's right. And they're all, well, it's like we said before, they all go to the fairs and they eat funnel cake and whatever, and
God,
it's
can you imagine
pet the babies and
well,
stuff.
I was listening to one of the people that follows these people, and she said, I've been to like 30 fairs in Iowa, county fairs.
Right.
She says, every time you go, you just, and you got and there's the pig in a blanket, and there's the whatever.
It's so
she says, this is
gross.
well, I mean, my editor obviously does not like me because he because he said, go follow the candidate to Iowa.
Well, I'm worried for the Democrats because I think that they may be in a no-win situation here.
And why are you worried about that?
Well, I said for them. I mean, I'm not worried myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying if you're a Democrat, you should be worried.
Yeah.
Because now you had Rashida Tlaib, I think, was booing Hillary.
Yeah.
At some recent thing.
Right.
And the crowd was hey, boo, and then, but she walked that back.
Yeah, she did.
In the last.
Yeah, she did.
24.
She walked that back. Right.
They realized, oh shit, we all have to support whoever if we're going to beat Trump, but. I think they may be too divided, especially after last time. And if Bernie doesn't get it, I think they could all rally around Bernie. I think if the Democrats would hold their breaths and nominate Bernie, I think he may have enough grassroots communists behind him to be like, you know what, we're taking it all, because he represents change again. And the last 6 presidential elections have
been about change.
Every single one.
Yeah.
And it has to be that, because of the $4 trillion.
Right.
Everybody inherently feels the drain that's happening into the swamp in Washington, and they're like, whatever is going on up there, I want it to change. And now Trump is establishment. He's status quo. So if you didn't like what happened in the last 4 years, then you want change again. And the only way to vote, I mean, Trump is, as we've talked about from the beginning, he's pretty much a Democrat from the standpoint of he's willing to tax and spend all the money. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing stopping him from doing that from the standpoint of his own philosophy.
Right.
And so if you got somebody like Bloomberg, I mean, they'd be practically mirror images of each other, I would think. So I'm not sure that they're going to, that doesn't represent change to the grassroots. And there were a bunch of Republicans who came out in 2016 just to vote against Washington. And that was the for Trump vote. It was like, okay, whatever he is, fine.
Yeah, because we're fed up with what it is.
Exactly.
And anything but what
what it is. And we had no idea. That I was speculating. We were all like, well, is this thin-skinned guy going to get us into freaking 6 wars in the Middle East in 5 minutes? It was a dice roll. You know, what are we going to get here? But fortunately, that hasn't happened. And in fact, the foreign policy has been spectacularly successful, if you ask me. We've defeated several different groups. ISIS, you never hear about them anymore. You don't hear about any of these little wars, and apparently we've drawn down some troops, and you don't hear about the deaths overseas and from our troops.
You know, it's funny, when you do, it's like one.
Right, exactly. One guy, 2 guys here. It's certainly not 10,000 or anything like that.
No.
So I would wager that if we had Hillary as a leader, that we would be more deep in some bigger war than we are now. But you never know.
Yeah.
So
she was part of the deep state. I mean,
I think she would go along with the MIC
because the military and all the generals and all those people and all the warmonger people. I mean, they would have been all over her like white on rice. Yeah,
exactly. And she's not going to do what is reported Trump did, which is call them all a bunch of stupid idiots.
Yeah, right.
And so, I mean, that's what we wanted from a candidate. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate their split in their party, whether or not, because if they nominate somebody other than Bernie, I think that there could be a huge amount of Bernie bros who stay home, and
that's the thought. Because otherwise, who are they going to? Biden maybe or something?
I mean, it could be any of them.
Could be any of them. Yeah, I guess it could be right. That's going to, and of course, it looks like
Hillary.
Hillary, right? It looked like it might be a brokered convention.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what I haven't seen that since '68.
I think that's what we're headed for.
That'll be fun.
And I think that they're going to come out with somebody totally establishment like Hillary as the person.
Well, you know what they've done in the past when they had brokered conventions is they've reached into some place that you never even heard of this.
Right.
I mean, literally, this is Andrew, one of the guys. That was
Bill Clinton. Who?
Yeah, no, he'd already gone. No, but there was some.
Nobody knew who he was.
1800s when they had brokered, they would reach in and it was somebody you never heard of.
Right.
The guy was the customs collector.
Exactly.
Something, and you know, who was this?
And they'll
guy?
put him. He's got integrity and a stalwart person.
After 33 bouts of voting, nobody gets it. They pull up just some. Nobody. Okay, yes. Let's go home, please.
That's right.
Can I go home?
Well, that's what it could be. So we'll see.
All right, moving along.
Yep.
Brexit.
Okay. Yes.
Brexit.
Boris. Oh my God.
Boris pulled it off. I tell you.
He delivers.
So here's the question: is there's one of the things that's interesting. They're officially out as of 11 o'clock British time Friday or when it's Saturday.
Right.
Whatever it was. They're officially out. Now, it's going to take them until December 31st to actually do all the stuff they need to do.
Well, the EU still has purview over them for like the entire next year.
This year.
Yes, from now
20
for 12 more months.
Well, no, I think it's until they're supposed to be out by January 1st.
Okay, 11 months, whatever. I'm saying there's a long period of
they're still going to pay dues.
They're still subject to the rules, I think.
Right, I think they can still. In other words, what's going to change is nothing. Okay.
Right, nothing's going to change.
The only thing.
Well, except that now the Brits will be banging the table whenever they see a new rule come out of the EU.
Right, because they don't have a voice anymore.
Right, exactly.
They've been
now.
In other words, they're not in the Parliament, but everything else is the same.
That's right. So now they have taxation without representation, and they have rulers without representation, and they're going to get that. So I'm curious to see whether or not the EU takes the super hardline approach and just tries to squeeze them like a freaking nut for the next 12 months, or whether they try to sucker them back in and try to say, hey, look, you need us. We're the good guys here. I think it's the former. I think they're going to try to wrench them.
Well, it's one of these things that I look at, and this stuff, that kind of stuff, always backfires.
I know.
When you think about it, when I think about the number of times that during war, when they try and bomb the other people into submission,
right?
It never works. I mean, we did one time with our atom bombs, but other than that, they unleashed, the hellfire on
in Brussels. It works. It works every once in a while. I mean, you can bomb somebody into some. But go ahead.
No, I mean, to have the people rise up is like, for instance, when they did Dresden.
Right.
They figured we're going to show them, and now they're going to be so pissed off they're going to hit their leader, go get their leaders.
Right.
Well, every time that I remember that they've tried that, it hasn't worked. Now it did work sort of.
They did in the Eastern Bloc Soviet countries. I mean, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, those countries during the war let the Germans in after the people sort of tacitly sided with Germany during the beginning of World War II, and then there was unrest, and then the Germans were like, "Fine, we'll come in and take over."
Okay, well, okay.
Well, whatever. But assuming you're right about that, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I was just going to say that is what you just said. They're still for 11 more months. They're subject to all the trials, tribulations, all the horrible shit and everything. They still got to pay money,
right?
But they got nobody to vote for them,
right?
So
right.
that's I'm sure going to have fun with it. And like you say, they could either the Brussels people could be shits about it and say, okay, now we should want to show you and tax the hell out of them, do whatever, and just so that, to hammer them down a little bit. And then there would be, you can imagine that there'd be some people standing around Buckingham, not around Parliament, saying, what have you done to us or something.
Right.
So anyway, they got to stick it out for 11 months.
And there's a bunch of people. I mean, on McLaughlin Group, you had the Eleanor Cliffs were saying, "Oh, Britain's going to regret this. They don't know what they're doing. They're going off into the great unknown." And I'm like, no. They're a sovereign nation that's been sovereign for 1,000 years, and they'll do just fine. And they will do just fine. They will get their things. And this, to me, is, as we talked about, a momentous event in the history of humanity, because we have seen what appears to be the breaking off of one major nation from another.
A secession.
A collective. Exactly. A secession without a war.
Without a war, yeah, exactly.
And it's amazing if it works.
I'd like to see some more of that, that's for sure.
And that's the last question about that is, you think Germany or anybody's next? Is anybody else going to line up there? Italy, Greece, Ireland?
One of the things that I see, and this is one of the things why I never thought the thing was going to work right anyway, because they were 20 different languages.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's one thing to be able to, stroll over the border from,
they all speak English,
at Port Boo, and, go from Spain to France, and you go, well, I don't know what I'm doing here now. Fuck, I don't know. So anyway, moving on.
Okay.
I've got a little bit of a light note here.
What do you got?
It turns out that now you don't have one of those talky things where you talk to it and ask the weather.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, kids and adults named Alexa are being bullied, and Amazon won't help. It feels like they slammed in the face a parent of a child, and the child's named Alexa. Business Insider, when she began to notice how relentlessly her child was being harassed about her name from the kids and adults alike. And this isn't just teasing, this is a whole different level. The problem is that Amazon chose a popular human name for an artificial intelligence software, but now the name Alexa has become synonymous with servant.
Yeah.
And so at least one parent has gone change their daughter's name.
Yeah.
And they said, we're not putting up with this.
Who doesn't have a middle name you can go by?
Well, that's true, but that's a lot of it. But I mean, if you're in the 8th grade or 9th grade and you've already been called Alexa for how many years,
Yeah, it's happened before. I mean, how many kids were named Adolf at the end?
That's true.
I mean, and it's got to have been. I mean, this.
No, you're right. Every once in a while I do see, especially last names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Bob Pig or something. What the hell are you talking? So yeah, no. But at any rate, I thought it was kind of interesting that because at my place I've got Alexa set up.
Mm-hmm. What? Huh?
Yeah, right. Huh? And it is interesting because I've got to be careful when I'm listening to podcasts or something because they'll talk about it and suddenly she'll start doing something. That's all I got to. So I thought about what I can do is while somebody's listening to this podcast here, Alexa, order more toilet paper. So suddenly there's from all our listeners, there's toilet paper.
It's a lot.
That's right. Oh my God. So anyway, so the next item that I've got, we're coming here, and we might end a little early, and a couple of things that are interesting. There is a $300 million launch Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
300 million.
Yeah.
Activision Blizzard just launched the Call of Duty League with a weekend-long event at the Armory, a historic venue in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Call of Duty League has 12 teams based in the United States, Canada, and Europe, reportedly valued at $25 million each.
The teams are worth 25 million?
Teams are worth $25 million each. And this year, different from the Call of Duty people they're paying the players $50,000 for the year, and they're going to pay for their room and board because they have to travel to 12 different cities apparently when they play this. Each team will host a live event during the 8-month season, with the first in Minneapolis. But I mean, this to me is unbelievable. This is a game.
Well, the gaming revolution has blown
Unbelievable.
up.
I mean,
They passed movie revenues. They passed. They have.
It is stunning.
Well, it's a big. It makes sense to me because now you get to play everybody online. I mean, if you're into games, man.
Well, I
this is
remember
the golden age.
Oh, it totally is. I mean, it was interesting because I know that one of my first Apple games was written by a guy named Lord British.
Oh yeah.
And he made enough money, just him. Now that was a single player game.
Mm-hmm.
You put it on an Apple II, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a Macintosh. And he made enough money. Now he was also brilliant, but I think he maybe had 2 or 3.
All the games, man. I mean, Candy Crush.
He off of that game and his earnings from that, he was able to pay $20 million to go into space.
Yeah, crazy.
So that was So, but my point being that this is really big business. Like you just said. I mean,
Candy Crush made King Productions like $1 billion.
No.
Yes. They were $1 billion company before it was all over, out for one game, which I think was like, it was kind of like Tetris. I never played it, but it wasn't.
It was something. Well, I do know.
Angry Birds was the other one.
But that was another one. The Candy Crush, I remember, what they did was they said, invite your friends to play Candy Crush, and I think that's why they went kind of viral.
And that was viral because I would get notices. You've invited people to play Candy Crush with you, and I'm like, I've never played Candy Crush. I've never invited anyone.
Well, I used to get from one of my nieces. She was addicted to it, and I would about every week or so, my niece, whatever.
I think it had automatic. It would like mine your mail list.
Oh, maybe.
And just send it out. They did that.
So and so. She has invited you to play Candy Crush.
Yeah, sure she has.
Yeah,
Somebody had my ex-wife.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because she was addicted.
Right.
And she loves me. So whatever. Anyway, just thought this was really fascinating when you see the. I mean, I think these days they figure out. I mean, let me put it this way: the guy sat down and did that Apple game. Probably took him a couple of weeks, and what?
I mean, I don't know. It might have taken him a year or something like that.
I doubt it.
I think you're probably right. I mean,
a couple of weeks. It was in machine language. There wasn't that much language. It was an 8-bit machine, for God's sakes.
Right.
So anyway, did it. And there's a couple of those games like that that there were stick people. You didn't have all that much to work with, but and they sold for $25 or something. Single player, one thing. And I thought these days. Sony and those people that they put together teams, and they figure they're going to spend 10, 20, 30 million, much as a movie.
Yeah, like I said. Well, now, like I said, the revenues for that industry has surpassed movies and gone beyond. Yeah, it's billions of dollars.
I wonder. I'm curious to know though. It is interesting because with movies, I was going back through some of them, especially on Netflix and so forth, and I was looking them up, and they said the budget. This is some years, maybe anywhere from 10 to 30 years ago. The budget was like, $5 million, and the box office was $2 million. And so they can have bust movies all the time.
Well, they still do.
But how about the games?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They have bus games.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And they've had there was a high profile entire organization, and it was supported by this pitcher. I think it was I don't know, it was Nolan Ryan or somebody like the Kurt Schilling or something, and they put in $100 million or something and lost it all.
Really?
Yeah, just the entire game collapsed because somebody else came up with a little better game, and so everybody just shifted over to that.
Well, I know that they always look forward to Madden, his football. He's a big hero in the football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think what else. But they now, of course, you play all around the world. You got, some of these things that I think Microsoft played like $1 billion for FarmWorks or whatever it was. Or
Oh yeah,
one of those,
yeah.
I can't remember.
Farmville
Farmville or whatever it was. Yeah. Okay, next item on the list here.
What do you got?
There are 62 brand new emojis for
Oh, yeah.
2020. Now, this is interesting. We're up to over 3,000 emojis. Now, I don't know if you've done this, but when you do a letter or something like your email, and it has a little emoji thing down there, and you click on it, and it brings up, and you have to scroll, scroll, and scroll. 3,000 of them? I mean, 3,300?
It's a lot. Well, it makes sense. They're kind of like Chinese characters.
Right. Well, that's right. And I saw someplace where the kids, the real newer kids today, the adolescents, are basically putting instead of email, it's all emojis.
Sure.
And you read it like it's a new language. Can you imagine what's going to happen when the aliens show up here and they haven't figured out Sanskrit or the hieroglyphics, and then they come up on emojis and say, what is this? What is this? What can somebody come on over here and figure out what they're saying?
Yeah,
So
I think it's cool.
It is cool. But I just thought it was going to show up in the next big OS. So mostly on the Mac, Unicode Emoji 13 has been finalized and comes with 62 new ones, plus 55 gender and skin tone variants.
Yeah.
So they're all getting into that. 117 new glyphs. And what are glyphs anyway? I don't know what those are.
I don't know.
It's like a petroglyph or a glyph. I don't know, glyphs. To bring us a total of 3,300, surely covering every tiny image communication need you could possibly need. 3,300. You think about it. How many characters are there in the Chinese alphabet?
Yeah, well, and that's how it's shaping up. But
I mean, there's 3,000 characters in that thing.
Oh,
at least they're sort of decipherable, aren't they? Your Japanese are.
Yeah, well, it's the same.
Because they're put together.
It's the same, and you recognize them right away. It's to me, it's a better system of writing than morphophonemic, which is what we use.
Really?
Yeah, it's a better system than the phonetic alphabets because you don't have to. Your mind doesn't have to do a translation. You instantly see what the thing is, and you can read it. And the literacy rate is 98% in Japan, anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm for it. Now, one thing I will say against it is when people send, like, I'll get an email and it'll have 7 of the same emoji in it. It's like
exclamation points.
Yeah, but exactly. But it's like,
I really mean this.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, look, there were only 7. So, did you really, really, really mean it, or because if you'd have put 8 or 10,
then I would have. Then I might. Yeah.
Then I would have known. To me, it's just like, look, you got 1. We know what you meant.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really annoys me when I hear people talk. There's this guy he's a computer guy, and he's really cool. He's really cool, and he fixes computers on his website. He does a pretty good job, but everything is. It was very, very, very conservative, and he repeats all his. One very is plenty.
Right, right.
It was really nice. It's not really, really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Well, and even Strunk and White will tell you, don't even use very, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
We know what you're talking about when you use the adjective.
Right. Well, it is exactly, but it is interesting because I remember from my grammar, and they had words that we were not allowed to use. Wasn't allowed to use the word thing, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you had to know the difference between, a lot is a piece of land and not much. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. We had a bunch of rules. Like, kind of fun. And I still, because being the grammar Nazi.
No.
Yes, I'm terrible. You know that. So anyway, it turns out that Apple, Google, Microsoft, and others still need to whip up their own custom emoji styles. Apparently, I don't know why. I don't know. So it turns out, for now, we have a finished set from the internet's leading authority on emoji, and what do you think it's called?
EmojiCon or something.
Emojipedia.
Emojipedia. There you go.
Emojipedia, the recognized authority.
Wait a minute. You know what it's really called is Bert.
You're right, exactly.
It's two little images.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Emojipedia.
All right. Well, we got just. Do you have anything in particular?
I got one more thing I have to say, and
Okay.
this is something about Elizabeth Warren. Is obviously diving in the polls right now.
Yeah.
And
She's pulling on
all stops. And one of her recent things just goes to show you, this speaks to the impracticability of her plans. She has stated, and I saw with my own eyes and heard her say this exactly. She said this. She said that if she gets elected, her Secretary of Education is going to have to be cleared, interviewed, and approved by a child trans activist. She's going to delegate one of her cabinet positions.
Well, what about Greta?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is who's gonna? Well, let me just finish my sentence. She's gonna delegate the decision of one of her cabinet positions. Okay, this is one of the people who's in the top 10 or 20 line for leadership of the presidency should there be a nuclear war. Mm-hmm. This person, this incredibly important decision is going to be delegated to a child. Like, because the child is so woke, because they're trans. Mm-hmm. Right. That apparently their intelligence has been enhanced in some way.
Yeah.
And also she's going to require that the Secretary of Education, have been educated in public schools.
Okay, good.
So those are her requirements. Her criteria. I'm thinking, who are you going to nominate for? You going to let your criminals pick your Supreme Court justices?
Good plan.
And your Attorney General? I mean, what about, you going to let a foreigner pick the Secretary of State?
Good plan.
I mean, you need to have somebody with experience here, right? Yeah. And I just, nothing says visionary like delegating your most important decisions to a child. I mean, the vision, wow.
Well,
I'm just, wow.
One of the other big things that she...
Who would have thought?
Her game plan...
I let my dog picked.
That's right. Animal rights.
That's right.
That's right. Head of PETA.
Woof, woof. That's it. Who's it going to be?
She did say that her first... most overriding thing that she wants to get done is to pass a constitutional amendment against the Electoral College. She says her goal is to be the last president elected by the Electoral College.
Sure. Well,
so, good luck on that.
Yeah.
And I did see, by the way, where the Equal Rights Amendment was ratified finally by the 37th state.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I forget which state it was, Kentucky maybe. But the point was, of course, fortunately, when they put the Equal Rights Amendment up, it was 10 years expiration. It expired in like '82 or something like that. So now the fact that these people voted on it obviously is symbolic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from my perspective, the Equal Rights Amendment is literally the opposite of an Equal Rights Amendment.
Oh yeah.
Because it literally separates us out by law and subjects us to different treatment by law according to race, gender, ethnicity, those types of things, which is literally the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like affirmative action, which actually separates us out by race and by law makes us different, and we're unequal by law.
I wonder why you're divided up.
Right.
You can go in there and say, I'm an Indian.
Right. And then you have, and then also I saw this week somebody posted a picture of Trump's cabinet, or it was his climate crisis committee or something, and it was
I saw that.
six white guys, six old white guys,
and they were complaining bitterly about this,
the lack of diversity. And of course, you don't know how diverse that group is. They could have been from every corner of the world. They could have entirely opposite views from one another.
Strictly race.
Exactly.
Strictly race.
You've judged them on their skin color, their gender, and their age.
Race and gender.
And their age. And that is considered by those people to be not...
that's the way you make selection anymore. You do it out of a phone book. It's so easy. You open up the phone book and you go like this, and that was the one.
Right. Well, not only that, but you have to have somebody who is of all these different groups, because Otherwise, you don't have diversity. As if diversity of thought is dependent on those immutable characteristics.
The whole thing is so ludicrous. It's really a hoot.
It's amazing how ironic it is. I mean, it gives irony. It is.
Bad name.
I mean, seriously,
No,
it is just incredible how ironic it is, and they don't even just gone. I mean, no, didn't see that coming.
Well, one of the things that I do see here is, and that is, if you get a chance, you probably need to pay $3.99 for it, but you should call up and watch Idiocracy.
Oh yeah,
the movie. It's about how people got so stupid.
Yeah,
and the Secretary of Defense was some more, they were all idiots.
Right.
The Secretary, and that's the one guy, I forget who it was, that played the president. But and what happened, the way it worked, of course, is that these two people, one was an astronaut, I think, or something, and the other was a whore, prostitute. And they had been in some kind of suspended animation for, I don't know, 200 years. And they came into this world where everything had devolved into complete idiots. And it was a pretty good movie. Got a lot of fun. That's what's happening.
Might check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like we're overtime here.
Yep. We started a minute late, so this is good.
Yeah.
What is in here? My nose itches every time I come in here. Is your cat?
Probably need to change the filter on the AC unit or something. So. All right. Thanks, Kevin MacLeod, for these tracks. We appreciate it. And did you see also? Did you see the question that Elizabeth Warren sent up to the Chief Justice during the trial?
Yes.
I mean, what a bitch, man! I mean, here, read this. Read this question. Does the Chief Justice suck for reading this question? So, all right. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll be back. Whoops, that's not the right screen.
Let's see. He did refuse to read two of the questions.
Yeah, but those were on other grounds.
Okay.
But that totally backfired.
But he can go back to court now. It's over.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, Scott. Appreciate it. Hope you had some fun.
Who we haven't heard from for a while is Gene.
Yeah, Gene,
Colorado.
what's up?
To find out.
So I hope you're doing well out there. We'll be back on Wednesday.
And that'll be after the. Then we should know by Wednesday. We'll know
conviction and removal.
Well, there's that, and of course who won Iowa.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we'll know that by then. Huh?
Stay tuned. We'll tell you.
Yep.
Don't bother to read the news until we get here.
Yep. All right. See you soon.